Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage. The sun went down and the UPS guy finally showed up with my box of Holley parts from my friend John in Missouri. I met him through this channel. We talk on a regular basis and I buy lots of stuff from him. He is an epic hoarder. I'm only on the hoarder level down here. He's up here somewhere. He buys in bulk, apparently. Seemingly never runs out of things to sell, but he is also the world's best packer. He buys a box. I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up, but this is 100% taped up. There's not a square inch on the outside of this box that doesn't have packing tape. And then when you open it up, he joked and said I'd be an hour getting all the parts out of it, but and I won't do a complete unboxing, but you start with random cardboard, then we swap the foam, newspaper, all the way around. This thing could go to the moon and back. Unbelievable. Let me get it out of the box and see what we got. And just like that, we're unpacked. It actually took me a few minutes. Again, he does a really nice job packing. So, over the last couple weeks, he taught me into adding on to my Holley collection. I've been making a run through the EFI market, and when there's a deal, and I always have multiple projects, it may seem nutty, but I already had one Holley HP setup, and that was my initial plan on the Race 55, at least to get it going. I have two harnesses. I have the Ilmore Racing, Ilmore Engineering harness. I had the engine harness when I bought the original, traded for the original block of my DOT 440 dot blocked LS build for the Race 55. And I have, it's behind you if you turn around, I have that, basically installed on the engine. Through this channel, somebody watched the video on that engine and say, hey, I have the cab harness, because it has a nice round thread together connector for the firewall. So the NASCAR truck teams can just thread that off and it goes back to Ilmore with the wiring harness on it. So I have that complete harness. Now the beauty of Holley EFI, Terminator, HP, and Dominator all take the same wiring harnesses. That's genius. Credit to Holley on that one. So I had one complete setup. Then a few weeks ago, when I bought the 4500 Dominator throttle bodies, I bought one of the correct 2x4 harness, 2 4-barrel harness, and one power input wire for the HP. I forgot I already had one. So long story short, I now have 3 complete setups. These, if you drew a line right here, this is the whole setup, this is the whole setup, for the most part. Again, this one needs a power harness. I have 2 more power harnesses, so each setup gets a power harness. These are universal, I believe, main harnesses. I had already bought the 2x4 harness, so I'm going to lay them out next to each other because I have 2 sets of the 4500 Dominators, and match whatever I need to do to make this run the 2x4 configuration, and the other one could just run a single throttle. Traditional injectors or whatever I choose. I have to buy the injector harness, I'm sure, but I had to buy all this a la carte. They weren't complete systems. This is a little display that Holley gives you. Kind of cute, isn't it? These are the later ones that have 2 plugs, I believe, so you can plug the laptop right into this, the communication cable, without having to disconnect the dash all the time. The one other handheld I have, these are the 2 of the newest style. The one other handheld I have only has a single plug on it, so I believe that's just so you don't have to always unplug the dash. The widebands O2 sensor is supposed to be the HP specific. We'll check that out. I believe him. He's hasn't been wrong yet. He's really good about researching his parts. So that covers that. Along the same vein, this is the fairly new to Holley dual sync distributor for a smaller big block Chevy. What this does for you is it gives you cam and crank sensor all in the distributor. So for instance, like the blown small block, if I want to put the Perilous 4500 Dominators on it, I put this in and I can control timing, and I suppose even have coil unplug or coil near plug if I wanted to. They have a cap with no spark plug connections if you want to do that. You can run this cap with no spark plug connections, but I'll probably just run the wire so it looks somewhat traditional. But hopefully I've grown kind of tired of the new MSD distributors. It seems like they're a year old. You pop the cap off in a vehicle that certainly never sees any corrosion, and it looks like it washed up on the beach in salt water. I don't know what's going on with that new new MSD distributors, but not impressed. So anytime I can run a different brand, that's why, like at the swap meet, I'm going back to the same swap meet I went to a couple weeks ago. They're having the last one this Sunday. Hoping to run into that guy that had that older MSD distributor and bring a couple tools with me, and maybe I can look at it a little closer. So last but not least, he had a couple 40mm Turbo Smart wastegates. I think they'll be okay on my S366 turbos. That's 80mm of wastegate if you look at it that way. So they were reasonably priced. I like buying name brand wastegates. I already bought a pair of Turbo Smart blow-off valves from John. They're sitting over there, so whew, that's as you lay it out, it doesn't look like much. Dollar-wise, it is, but it is what it is if you are crazy enough to have multiple projects going on. This is the main harness I was talking about with the nice connector on it. Also, while we're over here, I've been meaning to show these to you. I'm a fan of Nick Taylor, Nikki Bobby Inc., Alex Taylor's fiance. Odd they have the same last name, but they claim they're not related. Just kidding. He started with a 3D printer about a year ago. Now he's moved on. He's actually making parts out of aluminum. He does like long suspension, travel kits, etc. Nikki Bobby Inc., if you look him up. But for $30 the other night, I was on his website. I hope you can see them. These are exhaust port covers for an LS. They got a nice O-ring cut into them. They came with bolts, but I already had studs in the heads. But nice for storage, just to keep the stuff out. Thought that was a nice addition. I always am nervous. This motor's been together a year already. I make sure everything stays lubricated. Before I put the exhaust covers on, I sprayed some CRC 336 into the hole. I still need to get some spark plugs. I think I already did. They're probably here somewhere, and at least thread them in the holes. I need to work on my intake, and I'm hoping during this month, this is a month of deals, you know, Black Friday coming up. I need a set of injectors. I'm not sure, 160s or 180s probably for this. Again, just to get me going. My target horsepower is 12 to 1400 on a motor that should make a couple thousand if you wanted to. Hoping to give it an easy life, if that makes any sense. And yeah, time will tell. Back to Nikki Bobby Inc. for a minute. Again, less than 2 years ago, he got his first 3D printer and he taught himself to run it. Started making prototype parts for his suspension kits, and then bought I think it's a Tormach, a small CNC machine, and he's selling parts. You know, he's, I'm sure as you watch him progress, he's going to have bigger machines, and if he desires, if he has time, he has a lot of irons in the fire. But I admire anybody that will, you know, I kind of, you know, if I was younger, I suppose, but, you know, going down that path to, you know, go out and find an old used machine, learn how to run it, and next thing you know, making a living at it. Yeah, sounds fun anyway. All right, that's it. I gotta go make dinner, and hope you had a great day. It was another fantastic day. I spent the entire day outside finishing my boat hut. I did a little more work to it. I had to pay attention because that giant box from UPS was signature required. So I had to listen for the sound of the 8-1 Chevy coming at me wide open. And I was able to catch the UPS guy without him having to come back tomorrow. So to sign for the package. Take her easy.